Hey everyone, thank you for joining us. Hello, Elisa. Thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So you guys, we're gonna dive in and talk to Elisa about her story around fear and when she had fear in a significant time in her life when it really held her back from living her life fully. And just a couple of things I wanted to educate you guys on that she was doing travel blogging before, and now she is really a mega researcher. So she's helping people do a lot of research and finding what they need. And who doesn't need that kind of help more? Because we consume our time so easily that having a connection like this is like a game changer in the digital world that we all live in. So I'm super excited to just dive in and talk about your story and how the viewers can probably really relate on different levels with your story. And so at least I love to start out by telling the viewers, where are you located?
So I'm in Nashville now. I'm from Vegas originally, but I've been out here for a couple of years.
Awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so then, and I always love starting with something that's maybe relatable, or maybe relatable is not the right word. It's more of like fun fact that we wouldn't know about you unless you wanted to tell us. So what is something interesting or fun about you that you'd like to share with us?
So fun fact, I guess most people would not guess, I grew up on the racetrack and I went to high school for automotive. And then after
Oh,
that, I went through like some culinary training. So I'm kind of like all over the board.
hey, that's awesome. You're multifaceted. That's great.
Yeah. I'll change your oil while I'm cooking you spaghetti.
Hey, that's a badass chick right there. I don't know.
Right. I try.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to come on the vlog, share a little bit about your story and, the nuggets that you took from having those experiences. So, diving in with that, tell us about that significant time. So when you heard me say that for the first time, right? Like, where did your mind go about a significant time when fear held you back?
So mine was not really like a moment, but I had like a span of 10 years in my life where I had to bury 17 people. I lost 17 people, and I mean, really every 6 months I was getting a phone call, and they were all very tragic things. It wasn't,
Wow.
someone older, not, I mean, that's still equally tragic, but that's a little more expected.
Yeah.
So that's where my mind went, because losing that many people altered my perception of reality in a sense.
Yeah.
And gave me all this anxiety and fears that most people don't carry with them in everyday life.
You said 17
Yeah, 17,
in 10 months.
10 years,
10 years, 10 years, 10 years.
10 years.
Wow.
It's
Wow.
a lot.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. That is a lot. And so these are like close relationships to you, people that are direct to you, like
Yes.
every
Yeah,
six
like
months.
so today is actually goodness, what is this? 20, so 15 years today marks the day that my best friend was killed, and he was the first person I lost during that 10-year time frame.
Wow.
So yeah, it's kind of ironic that today is our interview. I didn't even realize that. But yeah, and so it was like my best friends, my dad was one of them, cousins. Yeah.
What?
But it's so crazy. Like, everything was tragic and it's painful and it's hurtful, but in each circumstance there was like an opportunity to see good in it or bring good in it or inspire others. And now like I can help others who are grieving or going through what I've experienced on so many relationship levels. So I'm one of those people. I'm like, no matter what we go through, it's always a learning lesson or something that we can develop within us to bless other people or help other people. And so I don't ever want to have to go through it again, but I'm
Right.
thankful, I guess, for the experience. I can help others.
Yeah. Well, and isn't that the catch 22? We say we don't want to go through these things again, but I mean, you've proved over year after year, 10 years in a row of how you kept going through it and you kept getting through it. And even now, looking and seeing 17 and 10 years and how resilient that mindset had to be for you to keep moving forward, that's
Yeah.
incredible. And you have an experience that I guarantee a lot of people can't relate to, but it's something that heaven forbid someone can really relate to what you're talking about, that, they know that they're not the only ones that have went through it
Right.
and that are still, shining their positivity on the situations, because death is inevitable. And like, that is the truth
That's
of it.
right.
Like, we need to figure out how to be able to work through the mindset, and yes, feel the feels and go through it at the same time and grieve. But I think it's really powerful the message that you're sending, that, there's good to find in the tragedies that we have,
That's right.
happening for us in our lives. And I really do personally look at experiences happening for us rather than to us, even
Mm-hmm.
in the really hard times, which I cannot relate to your situation. I'll be fully honest. And my heart is like, oh my gosh, all of these really close people to you, like, I can't imagine what that feels like. But I would love for you to even like share, like, where was your mindset during even just the first couple of years, right? Like, so let's see, however you want to talk about this, right? So where was your mindset when the first couple, like, close people to you passed? You said your best friend was the first one. Why don't we start
Yeah.
with that? Like,
Okay.
how was your mindset when you lost your best friend? And how did you feel about yourself during that time?
So I'm going to do something I never do. I'm going to tell y'all my real age. I will admit it. I lie about my age all the time. Okay. So I'm 32. So when my best friend
Me
died, I
too.
was 17. Oh, look at that. I love that. I do say I'm like 26, 20, well, however low I can get away with. I'm like, if you think I'm 25, we'll go at 25. If you think I'm 28, okay, cool. So, so when Josh died, so it was crazy. Josh and I worked on motorcycles together, and we had this big motorcycle rally that was going on. And I wanted to go that night. My mom was just like, no, I don't have a good feeling. And I was so mad at my mom for not letting me go. But the motorcycle he got hit on, I was supposed to be on with him. And forever thankful
Wow.
now. But it was our boss at the time. She was 3 times the legal limit, I believe, or double the legal limit. She hit him with a pickup truck and it rolled on top of him. And I mean, she drug him a while. It was tragic. And so as a 17-year-old to get that phone call, and this was like my best friend, like him and I, like he used to introduce me to people as a sister. To this day, I still call his parents mom and dad. And
Wow.
so to process that as a 17-year-old was a lot, and to just have it have been somebody who was very close to us that was responsible for it. So then we
Yeah.
had the courts and everything going on after that. So anyways, so I think it was like this moment of disbelief almost, and you just learn how to cope with it. And right away though, I think within 2 or 3 days, and this speaks to, like you said, things don't happen to us. Okay. Like we just happen to be near it or involved, but we're there for a reason. And
Yeah.
within a couple days, I was like, you know what, fundraising. And I raised a couple $1,000s for his family to help bury him, because at that point, it was not something that was, you don't plan for things like that for your 17-year-old child. So within a week, we raised a few $1,000s, and his story got out and people were touched by it, and it inspires people. Right. So
Yeah.
even the first week of grieving, there's that seeing people rally and come together and be a part of it. And but it was hard, but I understand it. Like at the time I was like, okay, it's an isolated incident. And then, soon after that was the next one. And honestly, this sounds so terrible, but with so many people, sometimes I get the order confused, who passed
Yeah.
when. But the second one, I believe, was another motorcycle accident, friend, 18 years old. And very sudden, very quick. And he laid the bike down, hit a car. And, again, with that one though, like rallying around the family, supporting the family. And I had all of our friends write like their favorite memories with him and any pictures. And I made a scrapbook for her that she still has to this day. And she's like, you have no idea how much this means to me, because, that was the darkest time of my life. But here's this book is years later touching her.
Yeah.
And having
Wow.
everyone come together. And, I think, I think after a while, like person after person, 4 6 months apart, it just became a normal for me, to where I anticipated it and I started to develop anxiety over it. And I think the next impactful one was my cousin. He accidentally hanged himself. He was 12, and He had
Oh
seen
my
something on
gosh.
television where a guy had a noose and he was still able to breathe. And so he's like, well, I just want to like test it out because I think you can still breathe. And he ended up cutting blood circulation. His mother told him, don't do it. And he did it when she, ran out the house, and she came back. And I just remember in that moment, just that, I'm a Christian, I have a Christian background. And I remember feeling like in that moment, like, where is God? Like, what is going on right now? Like, why am I going through this? And it was about me. Why am I going, why am I this bad luck charm? And you have all these
Right.
irrational thoughts. But like I said, eventually I figured out, like, no, this stuff is going to happen. I'm meant to be in that family's life for a reason. The person that I lost needed me and I needed them. Like everybody, even us right now, we're serving a purpose in each other's lives. And
Yeah.
it might not be like some, long-term impact, and it might be, but it might be an impact for a short while, or you're going to carry it to someone else or me, and you just don't
Yeah.
know. So, but I
You,
developed this
you know
insane
what's interesting
anxiety.
about that? You know what's interesting about that is that um, had we not been showing up, right? Like it's all about showing up for those people too, because
Yeah,
like you rallying around those family members and helping with the fundraising, like those things. Um, when we show up and who we are, like we're serving, like you're saying right now,
yeah,
like even this right now, we're serving someone's hearing your message in this vlog that needs the message that you're sending. And if we don't show up, if we shrink back in fear, that
mm,
quite literally they go without. Whoever needed
that's
that
right.
message, whoever, maybe it's for you to get it out, but maybe it's for someone else to hear it. And if you hide from that, your emotions, your feelings, or you just, put your head down and don't pay attention, like someone is going to go without hearing what you're supposed to be saying or how you're supposed to be serving them. And that's
Hmm.
sad to think about, but it's the truth. So I want everyone to
It
think
is.
about that. Like that's a strong message that she's sending. And I had another question before we move on, at least too, is
Yeah.
um, hearing you say like you were 17 the first time that you lost someone so close to you, and again that it was someone that was responsible for that you knew as well, like that's in itself really wild to just think about. But then also you mentioned how you were doing the fundraising and things, so I'm curious to know, like, how did you know how to do like the fundraising and stuff? Did you start researching it? Is that where like
No,
this all started coming from? Like tell me a little bit about like how you knew or where that came from.
I don't know. And none of this is like, oh, good job, Elisa. I'm not saying it for that.
Yeah,
It's like literally meant to keep people focused that even when we go through tragedy, there is still good to come out of it. And you can still be a blessing to others and help others in the midst of the darkness. Right. So,
yes.
I think for me, I have just always had a natural ability to just see gaps and fill it in where I see fit. And from a young age, like, I mean, 3, my mom always had me volunteering with people. My entire life was service with her to my community and loving on others and being there for family and friends in ways that most people would never show up. My mom is my hero. She's like, I'm going to start tearing up. She's the most
That's
amazing
okay.
woman I know. And she will always, I mean, just leaps and bounds for people. And so I think even at 17, I think it's just a natural part of my personality. And my dad was the same way. My dad was very giving and very about other people. What can I do to help
Yeah.
you? And so I think that like all I could think at the time was they're focusing on the loss of their son. I know the pain I feel as his friend. I can't imagine what they're feeling. So I was
Yeah.
like, let me just take some burden off of them. And of course, the money I raised, I mean, we raised probably about $3,500, I think $3,000. And that wasn't enough to pay the funeral, but it was a big boost of help.
Absolutely.
So even in that, you might not set out to reach the goal 100%, but even meeting, 30% of somebody's needs is a blessing for them. And
Yes.
in tragedy, you still want those good moments coming through, that love coming through to those who need it.
Yeah, I love that. It's so true to like that just goes to really anchoring in like finding the positives and finding how you can help ease the burden that people are feeling on any level, but like this hard topic specifically, I mean that's a real gift that you are able to do that, and that you were raised to be that contributing factor in a community that definitely needed support. And That's really awesome. Like
Yeah.
that's cool. So I know you were talking a little bit more about you know, as it progressed and after your cousin, and so like when you are going through those fears and you were talking about kind of how you were breaking through and realizing that this is something that's going to happen, and you need to work through the fears and the anxieties or those feelings, right? Any of that icky stuff that's coming up with it. And like during those times, was there any other relationships other than the obvious that were shifting and changing around you? Like, was there people that had a different response that you know, affected your relationship with them?
You know, I think for pretty much everybody I lost, if anything, it just bonded everybody tighter and closer together. And I think something that I think is just so important to say right now is when you lose somebody, you have to let yourself feel the feelings, that feel the negative feelings that come along with it. That's okay. That is not weakness. And I think a
Yeah.
lot of people mistake that. And each, you know, tragedy, like walk through other people, like walk through it with them, because it's going to build that bond and you're going to strengthen bonds with other people. And sometimes people are hurting way more than you realize, but they don't feel comfortable to say it. So when you're vulnerable with them, they can be vulnerable with you, and it's going to be
Yeah.
healing for both of you. So I think if anything, it just made me closer with everybody. Of course, there were a few, you know, random relationships that were a little strange, you know, like my best friend when he was killed when we were 17. That was our boss, he was our friend. But you know, as with any tragedy, there's going to be different stories told, and then, you know, the police are involved in court, so it created an awkward tension at times, obviously. But for the most part, when you love others and love on them, like that's just going to be returned.
Yeah, 100%. That's definitely a message that I've been putting out more and more now in the state that our world is in, and just leading with love and, you know, loving
Mm,
people unconditionally is literally
right.
the foundation of everything that anyone can be doing at this point. And yeah,
I agree with that. And everyone's so afraid to love. I think our society and culture has given love a bad image or reputation. And love has so many different meanings, you know. And I think
yeah,
that when you just take care of other people and be socially responsible to their feelings, I mean, what could go wrong with that? You know, we're going to
right.
be better as a whole.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's perfectly said. Um, so with everything as it's going on, and you are quite literally like realizing, so how many deaths in would you say, you know, that you really had that clear moment of being like, this is like how it is, and really getting that, you know, you got, I don't know how to like work through, like to ask the question, but like when you're going through it, right, and you're realizing that this is something that's going to keep showing up and you need to work through the feelings, was there any kind of like process that you went through that you could share with the viewers, or like really how did you start to overcome the feelings? I don't know if faster is the word. I don't know like how long they progressed for you, or, you know, what do you want
Yeah.
to share with the viewers about like working through their emotions or their fears around, you know, losing loved ones?
Yeah. No, and you know, could you give me just 1 second? I'm sorry, my
Sure.
daughter is like, hold on, give me 1 second. Hey, baby, I'm on the phone. Go downstairs. I'll be there in just a second, okay? Okay, go get a snack. My little snack machine. Um,
Yep, I got 3 of those. I know exactly
oh,
what that's like.
can't keep enough food in the house. Oh my gosh, these kids. I love them though.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So I think for me, so I think I just realized at some point, and it was before my dad got sick and went in the hospital, and I was just like, you know, at the end of the day, we're all born to die, right? It's a part of life. And I think, again, as a society, we have this blanket of fear surrounding death. And it's understandable, you know, and I understand that. But I think it's just like, it is so foolish to think this isn't going to happen,
Yeah.
because sure as rain, you know, we're all at some point, we're going to have that day, that time. And like I said, I used to think, why is this happening to me? And I just started thinking, like, this has nothing to do with me. And how selfish of me to make that person's day and time about me when it's about them and their family. And I started realizing, you know, I'm allowed to go through this, whether you want to call it a universe thing, a God thing. I believe everything happens the way it's supposed to at the time it's supposed to. And we can't fight it. And it helps us to become who we already are. We just don't know who we are yet, right? It helps us to become who we're meant to be.
Yes.
And I just started having this thought of, you know, it's going to happen again. And when it happens again, I'm just going to kind of go at it with a mentality of, this is normal. Nobody that has lived before me in history has escaped this, and it will continue to happen after me. And so my dad ended up getting, he had cancer like 10 years prior, and then he had complications from the cancer 10 years later.
Okay.
And he ended up in the hospital for 7 months. And I ultimately had to make the choice to take him off life support. I was 25 at the time. And I'll tell you what, though, having that new state of mind and the support of my family and friends, and again, being a Christian and just having like a different perspective on it, that 7 months was probably some of the most beautiful time of my life. And I would wake up probably about a month in, and I'd say, okay, God, this is what's on the agenda for today. Dad's still sick. He's in the hospital. He had a few times where he flatlined during these months. And I was just like, you know what, God, bleed every ounce of goodness you can out of this. That's all I want. Ultimately, whatever happens, if every day can be a blessing in some way, that's what I want. So this 6 months from then on, I spent so much time with my dad. I was at the hospital 5 to 7 hours a day for 6 months. And like, yeah, my husband was like never even complaining that I was there. You know, my husband at the time was like never complaining I was there. And I think that when you have that support, that does make a difference. But my dad and I got to deepen our relationship and grow together. And I saw him fight for his life for me, and he saw me fight for him. You know, when they were recommending hospice, my dad didn't want hospice. I said, you know what, Daddy, you're not strong enough to do it. I'll do it for you. And thank God his doctor was very fighting for him with us, you know, and standing ground with us. So I had nurses coming up to me in between and saying, because of your relationship with your dad, I reached out to my dad that I haven't talked to in years, or because of how your dad talks about you when you're gone, or, you know, I'm spending quality time with my children. And so to be like, wow, this is the toughest part of my dad's life. My dad was the hardest man I've ever known in my life. Gentleman, but good God, tough man. And to see him be vulnerable and open up, and, you know, it was so beautiful. And even taking him off of life support, I was like, you know what? This is a blessing. I'm going to say this to everybody who ever has to make this choice, or who has already made this choice. It is a blessing to have the opportunity to take your loved one off life support, because you get to tell them goodbye. They get to know how much you love them, and you can prepare to ask for forgiveness for anything you need. It is tragic, and I've seen it so many times. When someone dies suddenly, there are people who suffer for years because there are things left unsaid, or that last I love you wasn't said, or there was an argument and it was never reconciled. I know making that choice is hard. I had to do it. I get it. It's not an easy choice, but it is something that a lot of people would love to have the opportunity to do, to have that time.
Yeah. And again, that's seeing the dark spots as, you know, where that light can shine through. And I really want to point out the ripple effect that you talked about with, you know, the great things that were happening during a hard time of being in hospice, but like your relationship with your dad really helped the nurses and the people that were in your world with you going through it, again, because you were showing up for your dad. Like, your relationship showed up in their lives to have the ripple effect on their families. Like, we don't know the impact that we are currently making, but again, that's another reason to show up and be good people and love each other, because your smile could do something for someone, your kind words, like any little ripple effect is a beautiful thing in the world.
I agree 100% with that. And there's no, and like, if you're given this opportunity to do that, it's your responsibility to other humans to take advantage of that opportunity. And I'm sorry, one more second. My daughter is freaking out on me over here.
Oh yeah, that's what happens when we are on a call. It's always, it never fails.
You're okay. There you go. You go sit down, okay?
Oh, you're muted. Oh, nope, it's muted. Why can't I unmute you?
Actually, might be better to mute since she's having her tantrum.
Oh, here we go. We're good.
Do you care if I just bring her in here with me? Is that okay with you?
No, absolutely.
Let me just go get her.
Absolutely not.
She's a mama's girl. So, hey, Macy girl, come here. Come here.
I love it.
But this has got to stay here, okay? Okay. You want to say
How
hi?
old is she?
She is 4.
Okay, I got one of those. Hi.
Can you say hi? Oh, she's got a cookie and everything, and she's so upset.
Cookies make you happy.
Don't you want to eat your cookie?
Look at that beautiful hair. Oh my goodness.
She likes her hair. Can you say thank you? She's just not happy.
Yeah.
That good old Tennessee humidity makes it nice and curly for her. Okay, that's okay.
That's good. Okay, we're almost done here. If you because I loved your advice in like telling people, you know, about really having that mindset that, you know, it's coming and that we can find those bright spots. We've had great examples of how that came through for you in these experiences. And I would say like you really have an experience that has equipped you to keep moving through like anything, right? Like when you know the mindset and the tools to get through something so hard like this within a 10-year span, like you're very resilient, you are very strong, you have solid like values and knowing like what to go for and how to view things in a different way, that you are living fearlessly. And I want to just point out, like, in that sense, like, I don't talk about fear as in like we don't have it. It's more or less like we walk with fear as our friend because we know we'll get through whatever those uncertain feelings are. And so my question that I love to end with and really pulling it through is like, where do you see yourself 5 years from now, like living fearlessly? Like, what do you see on the horizon for you, for your vision, for you, your family, whatever you want to share about, like 5 years from now, what do you see?
So, you know, something, just a quick little injection here is after going through so many losses, I developed this insane anxiety to where, like, I was so afraid something was happening to my children and I wasn't going to be there, or something would happen to me, to where like they were missing out on time at grandma's because I'm like, oh my gosh, what if her house catches on fire? I mean, like irrational thoughts. And since then, almost all my anxiety is gone. Once I figured out, like you said, fear is normal. And when you figure out like it's a normal emotion to experience and you embrace that and you just live in that, the healing will come and the your mind, your thought process will change. So from 5 years from now, I feel like sometimes I still get these bouts with the anxiety, right? But I've come such a far way. And I think that in 5 years from now, I would say that I would have a more normal state of mind. I hate the word normal because, you know, I mean, really what's normal, but a healthier state of mind, let's put it that way. And honestly, I just want to be able to get like my message out there to others, what I've been through. You're going to be okay. And should you choose to allow it to be something that a tool to use for other people, you're going to bless other people in ways that you don't even know. And I think for me, I would love to eventually be able to get out there and get in front of people and share my message with them and help walk them through what they're going through. And I've already been there. I feel like if I already have the tools, let me help you, let me show you, and encourage you. And Josh, my friend who passed away when I was 17, his mom's amazing. She's out there all the time giving speeches to, God bless you,
Bless you.
you know, drunk drivers, or God bless you,
Oh, bless you.
or people who have been through it, or working with Mothers Against Drunk Driving. And 15 years later, she's still touching people.
Yeah,
I mean, that's amazing. So,
that
and
is
same with my
incredible.
kids. Like, I just want them to know, like, they can make it through anything and still be positive and still be okay. We're all going to be okay.
Yes, I love it. Those are awesome messages to want to bring to the future, right? And
Yeah.
especially to the next generation. That's something that's huge on my heart. Is it's always been like really in the front of mind that raising the next generation to be good people and lead with love is definitely something that's in my brand, in my heart. Like it's in everything that I do. So I absolutely love that. So
I love it.
where would be the best place for the viewers to connect with you?
So I think the best place would be the socialgypsy.com. That's my business website. My email's on there. My phone number is on there. And I mean this, like if somebody's going through something and they just need encouragement, email me. My email is on my website, thesocialgypsy.com. I'm here, and I can't tell you like how authentically I want to be there to help somebody go through the hardest time in their life. And you're going to be okay. And they need to know that.
I love it. I love it. That's perfect. That's a great way to end it. I really, again, I want to show you appreciation, give you thanks for your time, for sharing, you know, a little peek into, you know, the hardships that you went through and what that's really been doing for your mindset, how you're helping other people through it, and how you want to continue to encourage people to really work through those things and know that there is, you know, still light in those dark moments. So again, just thank you so much for your time and
Oh,
coming
thank
on and
you.
sharing.
Thanks for having me and giving me the platform for it. I'm like, I have this message I want to share, and I'm very thankful to
Yeah,
have
absolutely.
it with you.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm so grateful that you're here. And for all the viewers, again, remember to love yourself and live fearlessly. Let us know if you have any questions in the comments. We would love to hear from you, and go connect with Lisa and check out her website and connect with her, especially if you're going through a hard time. Like she said, she'd love to connect with you. So have a great day, everyone.
Bye.